Welcome to another episode of the Well Life Podcast, where we touch on what we have determined to be the 8 dimensions of wellness.
And today we're going to have a little chat about influencer culture, right? The kind of current atmosphere around influencers, what we think of some particular influencers, what we think of that whole kind of social media influencer game, if you will.
Yeah. And how we think about the content that we're consuming and how it's going to affect us for us specifically, a health and wellness standpoint.
Yeah. So first, to start off, I think there's a lot to be said about, and this is right coming from a business owner standpoint, someone who, right, even before I owned a business, just from a real standpoint of me being someone that's coming up in an industry that's highly volatile and also taken advantage of with a lot of misleading information. Right, that's kind of my perspective. In order to say this, right, we want to kind of talk about the culture in that sense of what it looks like from our standpoint, you know, and what we think is out there versus what you should be looking at and how you may be able to dissect it, and then maybe give our takes on a few specific people.
Yeah, and I think the top of the conversation is just kind of about being smart about the kind of content we consume. We can talk specifically about fitness, and I think that's where we'll structure it. But like knowing who you're following, is the information that they're giving out genuine? Are they just trying to sell you a product? Are they just trying to entertain? Is it genuine? Is it real? Is it
Yep.
quantifiable? Is it something that's actually going to help you? So kind of curating the kind of content that you're bringing in and that you're consuming will be beneficial, because there is a lot of information out there. And I think on one end, there's positives to the amount of people that are in fitness, because it allows a lot of people to see a lot of good fitness influence. Right now we're saying influencers, but a lot of good fitness influence, which is positive, right? So if we have more people working out, that's good for everyone.
Yeah, of course.
More people exercising, more people thinking about the way they should exercise, more people just moving in general, because maybe they're getting on their phone, they're seeing that, hey, there's this girl that I follow or this guy that I follow is doing this workout. I'll try this workout. That's great. I think that's a positive for just health trends. It's positive for health and wellness in general. So the more people that are working out, exercising is good in general, because we'd want to see more people just exercising. But I think on the other end, there's definitely negatives to the amount of people that are now just in the industry and calling themselves kind of personal trainers or calling themselves fitness people.
Yeah. I think right off of that, training specifically, it's a very low barrier to entry. Anyone can take a picture of their body or say that they did a workout and it got them XYZ and promote it and sell it. Which it might be helpful, might not be, but I think it based off a little chat we just had. Let's define influencer, right? Because the word influence is you're kind of catering, right? Pushing, promoting toward a certain population of people, right? What is influence, right? Something you can have over someone, control you can have, some push you can have. So I think let's define, right, influencer versus what we may call ourselves, right? Trying to be professionals of an industry, entrepreneurs, yeah, but even prior to that, kind of just real fortified people that have try to get as best of an understanding and a knowledge backing in an industry, right? And I think that influencers have become almost in concept of definition having the most credibility, right? Or being the most educated. And I think that's a problem for kids, 10 years old, 12 years old to 18, 19, 20 years old that aspire to be something or do something, especially in like a bodybuilding community or something with the misleading amount of information, stuff like that, as opposed to someone who's a practitioner with a big following, right? Someone who is knowledgeable, a scientist, an entrepreneur that has a big, a real built business and a big understanding of what goes on behind the doors, rather than just post. Oh my God, my following is 500,000.
Yeah.
The kid sees that as credible, and that's where all their information comes from now.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think the distinction there, when what is an influencer, I think you have to go with the times and what social media kind of pushes as the typical influencer. So if I'm going to kind of define that, it's going to be typically a person that unfortunately is skewing on that side of the lack of credibility, and they're pushing just products that they're getting paid to push because they have a big following. I think there are obviously there's gray area here, and there's a lot of people that can consider themselves an influencer, and they are trying their best to qualify products and give real information to people. But I think there's less people doing that than there are people just taking a check or taking some money from a company to push a product that they may not even use or that they don't really care about.
Yeah, and I think it's the difference of like money and looks drive the world, not so much real education, evidence, science, right? It's like following the doctor of whatever. And there's even some doctors that can become influencers leveraging their title and pushing some type of diet, reform diet, way to live, whatever, when there could be studies that go against it, other people and doctors that go against those doctors, right? Same thing as there are health and wellness practitioners, fitness gym rats, people that just post for the views, for the money, instead of after like posting for the education, for the real influence of education, instead of the influence of just following and money, right?
So it's kind of diving into the quality of content.
Yep.
Right. So if I see someone come up on my feed that is giving information, why don't I take a look at that person's feed?
Yep.
What kind of information are they giving? What's the backing on the information that they're giving? Is it research-based? Is it experience-based? Or is it very high level and it's more on the physical attraction side?
Yeah.
Right. Try to take a look at what's backing the information that this person's giving. Take a little deeper dive, and maybe if you can see some quality there, then you can associate them with something that has a little more value. I like to think of some of the people in the industry that have bigger followings that are kind of always in your face, pushing information. But most of the people that, and I think that this is where you can kind of find that line, is the people that are, I would consider big following, but not influencers. Maybe they're business people and they have businesses that you can buy something from them, but they're not always pushing something and trying to sell you something, right? Yeah. They're not always pushing their program, right? Think about like a guy like Max Lugavere or even like a Gary Vaynerchuk, right? That's just most of the time they're just providing you information because they understand the value that you're going to get from just having free information.
Alex Hormozy doesn't even sell anything really through his, right? He sells acquisition.com, which is helping businesses grow if you opt in for a large sum of money. He sold Gym Launch, right, to help gyms grow, but those are concrete products, but he essentially gives wild amounts of knowledge for free, and then he condensed it into his book.
Yeah. I mean, even in his books, he talks about how he doesn't, he's not even looking to sell you anything if you're not someone that's already doing over $5 million in revenue, right? Because that's when he feels like I can really do something for you. He's like, before that, I just want to give you enough free information to get you to $5 million. Yeah. Right? So like that's how much value, if these people are just giving value, and understand that everyone has to make a living. Yeah. And everyone wants to make some money off of something. And that's, you're right, and we all are trying to do that, right? You're trying to provide for your family, you're trying to do things. Of course. So you have the right and the ability, but if you're giving enough value, people will buy things from you. Yeah. But if you're simply just pushing product, I think that's when you fall on that other end of kind of what we're talking about.
And I think going back to your looks versus like real science and practitioner, it's almost like the Jeff Nippards of the world that he's got great broken down content of like a bicep curl, right? How do you hypertrophy your bicep? It inserts here and here. And this workout's this stress, this amount of load, this movement is proven to grow your bicep over this amount of studies and this whatever, and it might be a 25-minute video on biceps and growth, as opposed to maybe not all the information is needed. And if you're a 15-year-old kid, you might not sit and watch that entire thing and absorb, right, and be interested, as opposed to a trend brother going in and saying, like, this is how you do the curls. It's amazing for the bicep pump.
Yeah.
You know,
just pure entertainment, just trying to draw people in.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of all the time.
Yeah. So I think like overall how I see it too, and this is almost from direct experience with me coming up, right? Starting kind of posting a little bit. My college life was 2013 to 2017. In that realm, I feel like Instagram made a huge leap, right? It really only got to be able to post pictures in 2012, 2013 on Instagram, or videos, sorry, in 2013 or 2012. I think it might have been 2013 was videos when it started, right? So that was my college life. I started posting some gym stuff towards my junior, senior year, but the consumption was like fitness influencer, like bigger bodybuilder, like a Bradley Martin back in the day, vlogging. And it was just entertaining to watch more than anything, and being like, oh, he does a back squat with this rep scheme. I'm going to try that in the gym today.
Yeah.
But it's like the backing of that. He was already, 100 times more experienced and bigger and whatnot in the gym. It didn't even matter to him, right? He's just putting out and telling his story rather than fully somewhat maybe teaching. But I think the difference is like the influencer culture in generality, specifically fitness for me, was number one, are they leading you or misleading you, right? And number two, are you able to take that and is it a misunderstanding for you for where they're at, right? Like thinking like you're getting way ahead of yourself because I want the followers, but what are you going to do with 500,000 followers tomorrow if you woke up in one of your YouTube videos of you doing something stupid in the gym went viral? Mm-hmm. And it's like the real basis is just like, the basis itself is to form that base of knowledge for yourself if you want to be serious in an industry and build and become a real businessman, entrepreneur, practitioner, whatever you call it, as opposed to, right, building a following just to build a following to make money, right? It's like the Mike Boyles, the science-based people of the industry that are on the floor training. His following only took off, but a couple tens of thousands of followers, right? But kids might see like, oh no, like so-and-so, whatever influencer that has 1 million followers is way more knowledgeable than him because of their following, right? And I think that's what I went through personally. And I said that earlier in the podcast, but I think that's a huge gist of some type of misleading. If you're a kid sitting there and you want to be an influencer, first of all, where are you going? What are you doing? And what are you going to do with that following? Because you don't know what business really is. And then number two, what does their day-to-day look like, right? What does Jake Paul's day-to-day look like 10 years ago for him to vlog and write scripts and film videos 10 to 12 hours some days probably behind the scenes and take that 7, 8, 9, 10 years later to where he is now making millions of dollars off of products that he's leveraging because he took that wild amount of time and consistency on Vine and YouTube, right, and Instagram. It's like it's incredible. But at the same time, it's misleading.
Yeah. And you kind of had this comment right about kind of Bradley Martin's and so these people that were just putting out their workout content in the beginning, right? This is just kind of what I believe to be a good workout program. They weren't trying to sell you anything. They weren't saying anything about it. Was, hey, try it out, right? This is kind of what I'm doing. If you want to try it, like you said, like, oh, I saw that rep scheme. I'm going to try this out myself. Yep. The thing that kind of irks me the most on Instagram is just kind of when I get to a video of someone that's just jumping around for 30 minutes and maybe has a dumbbell and they're doing a squat, a press, right? Then they're doing, right, it's a light dumbbell and they're doing an RDL with it, and then they're right passing it between their legs, and it's got 100,000 views, and like it's good to see people work out, amazing. That is not going to translate to like in the similar fashion to you seeing that video as a younger person and saying, oh, if I do this workout, I'm going to get stronger. Or I'm going to like increase my fitness level. Like that's not going to do it. And there's so much of those videos that come out now because people like them and they share them because they're entertaining.
Yep.
But they're not educational, right? They're lacking in the value, but they're entertaining.
Yep.
The issue is when those entertaining videos get into the wrong hands. Now you have some kid that's in the gym and he's trying to do, right, a muscle up with a couch attached to it. Waist, right?
That's how does his name read that? The guy we're gonna talk about him after, but exactly.
And the thing is, like that dude, he actually has a gym, and I looked at some of his deeper content.
Matthias Mckinnon.
And I looked at some of his deeper content, and it's actually very solid. Like the training that he does in his gym and his real training is really cool. It's dope, right? But the videos that he's known for is like obviously it's entertainment.
Yeah.
Right. But what kid is now in the gym trying to do squats on the top of a bike, right, with
it's like,
two
what is
dumbbells
that?
on his shoulders? Like when you see people standing on a rack, like on 10 dumbbells and trying to do a pistol squat.
Yeah.
It's like that's not going to translate to anything for you besides possibly an injury. Like why is like that information? Everything is information on here, and it's the way we consume it and who it gets in the hands of is kind of the problem.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
And I think that's crazy in an extreme way, because kids are seeing this and it's wild and it's getting the attraction. Cool, he might be funneling those views and pushing it to his real content that he wants to educate people with, which is great. But I think on the other end too, some of those things pick up views and people are just after the views and the likes and the comments and the following, so they want to do more of those videos.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so you see like the OG fitness people of years ago, maybe like a Jen Selter or whatever, who has her app workout, right? You could see every girl and their mom doing lateral band walks for glute hypertrophy.
Yeah.
Because the next and the next and the next is doing it, and they're posting whatever they want, showing whatever they want, doing the exercise, marketing, buy my workout program, band walks, whatever. But it's like, they're not even looking, right, let's say science, and that might be their ignorance too, of like, what's the muscle function and how do you grow that muscle? It's like lateral band walks are a good glute warm-up. It's like, well, the glute max is the bulk of the butt cheek, and that's gonna be primarily hip extension. So a lateral band walk really isn't doing much, right? I'm just using that as a direct example, right? Like these guys, it can be anything, bench pressing obscene amounts of weight or whatever, right? Some guys have more dominant muscle parts than others, right? Some guys look completely different, freakishly different, lift crazy weights, and it's so misleading.
Yeah,
right?
and that's the part of it too, right? You have someone that's maybe just trying to start out in their health and wellness journey, and they're starting to work out, and all they see is someone that already genetically has good shoulders, and maybe they have a strong chest, and they've already been able to bench press these numbers, and now you're trying to chase this almost unattainable.
They think that's reality almost,
exactly.
Right? And even like, I'll pull up Larry Wheels, and he's a local Long Island guy. He grew a crazy following, crazy in the powerlifting industry from 10 years ago. But I think he openly said he came out, right? He openly said he started using steroids when he was like 16. And he's 21, 22. Looks like a full grown ass man, right?
Yeah.
He looked like he's 35. Deadlifting and benching and overhead, like standing overhead press with like 5 plates, obscene amounts of weight when he's like 22, 23. And now like other kids are looking at him and it's like, that might be like, that guy knows what he's doing, right? Just for example, if I'm coming up in the training industry, which I was when I'm 22, 23, how am I going to tell someone to pay me per session to train with me if he's selling a $20 workout program? That's a powerlifting workout program, and he's showing those, right?
5 plates.
And that's where the misleading information comes in. He trained at a strength gym on the island, right? That's a different story. Not that he sold workout programs. I'm just using him as an example. But those things are misleading too, right? Steroids, putting yourself in those positions. He had a freakish amount of strength naturally also, and just was able to grow the hell out of it and stay lean in the process. And it's like, now kids like, I want to be like that. Yeah. But it's like, man, you're never going to get there realistically, probably.
And that's that's the Liver King story too, right? Where he kind of told this story about eating clean and just, and eating liver predominantly and being shredded at whatever age he is, right? And then it comes out that he actually was using some, right? He was taking steroids. Or whatever else he was doing, but it wasn't just the liver, right? It wasn't just his diet that had him, and training that had him looking this way. He was adding some other things, and those are the things that you don't know. All of a sudden, you have to be cautious about of people online. You can't take everything that you see online at face value.
I think for him, like from us as a business owner standpoint, would love to be making the money he's making. I'm sure it's wild. Would love to. Right, have a physique similar to him, living out on whatever, right, wherever he wants to live, building that lifestyle. But it's like, at what cost does he take to sell that lifestyle, to market his ancestral supplements that are liver in a pill, this in a pill, that in a pill? Like, you're just going out there doing that thing, right? Respect the guy for the work he's put in, because even on steroids, you got to work your ass off.
Yeah, definitely.
Regardless.
And he put out a lot of content. He pushed for that, right? The guy was in the gym a bunch. Like, there was a lot of hard work still put around that. But it's like the story of the snake oil salesman, right? It's like, you got to know what products you're buying here.
Exactly. Right, and it kind of bouncing off that steroid talk too, like the trend bros or trend twins, right? Twin brothers that I think I only came across them like less than a year ago, probably, because I'm not like watching influencer type stuff now. I'm really more interested in like the Hubermans of the world, Gabrielle Lyon, like the science of it, right? But the trend twins might be making a great name for themselves and great following, but once again, like I think they're 22-year-old brothers, jacked out of their, like diesely jacked out of their minds,
and
short,
like
stubby,
they're
right?
like openly talking about steroid use.
Openly doing vlogs. It's one thing if you're influencing, like the Liver King, to push a healthy lifestyle change. He's extreme, obviously, but that's just diet. Now the trend twins are taking that to a much looser next level. Instead of the Liver King owning up to steroids and saying, I shouldn't have lied to you guys, he's not saying to take them, right? They're turning the corner and saying, like, they're loosely on their YouTube vlogs doing a 20-minute walk into a video saying, like, Trent is going to definitely, dude, the anger you're going to have, sometimes it's a problem, but it's like, that's just feeding, right, the nature of the beast, where the 13-year-old aspiring bodybuilding kid or just kid that wants to be more fit thinks that that's the way.
And these guys with the big following are saying, I'm doing it. Right.
And it's like casual, and that can be extremely detrimental to the health of a young individual, to anyone that's like looking at them as some type of source of any type of information, right? And I hope that there's a reality shift in a person who's watching them to say, like, all right, take all these people and pieces of them with a grain of salt. Maybe their training videos are awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they have cool breakdowns of some things and you love their workout splits and you use them to your advantage and go to the gym. Maybe looking at some of their videos motivates you. Like I used to use Bradley Martin in my dorm room to go hit a leg day. I'm all fueled up and ready to go. Cool. That got me in the mindset sometimes, right? But beyond that, sometimes it can be, like, for lack of a better word, garbage, you know? And it's crazy.
And that's what it's about, right? Curating, knowing what you're actually consuming. When you see these videos come up that have a bunch of views, if there are things and good information and insight and motivation to pull from them, pull it, right? But don't take everything you see at face value, because people may be doing other things, and that also may not even be the way that they train. Right, so someone's showing you some video where they're just sprinting on a treadmill and then grabbing a dumbbell and doing a backflip, and hey, this guy may have some capabilities like that, but I guarantee that's probably not what his workout structure is most of the time. If you see him holding a bunch of muscle, it's probably not some high intensity cardio training all the time. So, kind of trying to piece together the motivation and the insights that you get online with education and skewing hopefully more towards the education side of influencer.
Yeah. So, I think I don't have any more to say on the topic necessarily, because it's so direct and straightforward, but we wanted to come on here, kind of make a statement on that talk of just saying, be wary of what you're following, who you're listening to, who it's coming to, and why, right? And like what you're really taking seriously versus what you might find out later, right?
Yeah, and what's trending and what's popular.
Yeah, what's trending versus what's real. Reality is extremely hard to come by today on social media in today's world, anywhere in today's world half the time, right? People are after different, driven things for themselves or for monetary purposes instead of for pure educational. Everyone needs to make money, obviously. We need to make money too, but it's a push for, like, what are you actually watching, consuming? What are you feeding your brain with? Are you following someone that's an influencer of the industry, putting stuff out there that might be more distracting to you, or are you following someone that you can actually take real grainy advice from and pull it and apply it to your life and learn some stuff?
Yeah, figure out what's entertainment and what's actually valuable to you and use them as you need it.
Cool.
Put your entertainment bucket in a time frame where you're just getting entertained, and make sure you find people that are educational to you if you're going to stay on those apps, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Let us know any influencers that you guys like to follow. If you have anyone really, really cool that you follow or pull information from.
Love to check it out.
Yeah, would love to see them. Yeah.
And any ridiculous videos, too.
Send them over. Let's do it.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you jumping on.